All right, guys, welcome back to Alum House Sound. Today we're going to do a quick Q&A, but first I want to thank all 9,600 of you guys for subscribing and being involved in this channel. We've got a lot of great comments, a lot of great discussions that happen in the comment section, and so thank you guys for being involved and helping grow the channel, but the community as well, as we all strive for better mixes. Well, today's question comes from Randall Clay. Randall says this. He says, this comment may not address the subject directly, but it's close. I want to use Waves plugins on my DAW, which is Ableton Live, on his main mix on an X32 during service. Is this possible? I did a test recording on a Sunday service on my M1 Mac Mini and added plugins and got a much better sound. I'd like to be able to duplicate this during Sunday service. Thanks for your help. Well, Randall, that's a great question. So what this comes down to is, do you have fast enough transmission of the audio coming into the console, out to your DAW, adding your plugins, these Waves plugins, sending it back into the console, and then out for front of house? Can you do this? Yes. Is the Mac M1 the fastest thing out there pretty much right now? Yeah, it is. Have I done it in the past on a Windows machine? Yeah, but don't tell anybody. And what I used was Waves Multi-Rack. That's the common thing that people use, is a tool called Waves Multi-Rack. Now, what I'm going to tell you is that there's going to be some latency. The processing time across USB into Ableton Live and then back into the console across USB is going to add latency. And depending on where people are in your venue, they're going to hear that latency. There's going to be a difference between what's on stage. If I'm on stage right now, if I come through the microphone, then I go out through this whole rig and back out to some speakers, the people in the front row, especially if it's a smaller venue, they're going to hear the difference between what comes off stage and what comes through the speakers. It's just natural latency. Now, how do you get around that? Can you still do this? Yes, you can. This is where people enter Dante into the system. Now, there's a couple of different things. If you're trying to use a number of plugins, then you do want to use something that has a faster transmission than USB. So Dante is the digital across network. I forget what the T and the E stand for, but somebody smart in here can help me out. Tell me what Dante stands for in the comment section, and I'll look it up and maybe add it in the description. But anyway, you can get a Dante card. You can put it in the back of the console in place of the X USB card. And then you would add the Dante controller software onto any computer that you're using. And this would allow you to do seamless transition of digital audio across your network to multiple devices. This really opens up a bunch of possibilities, which is really cool, but the downside is it comes with a cost. So you've got to buy the card that goes in, which is a couple $100. I forget how many licenses you get when you buy the card. Maybe it's one, maybe it's two. I'm not sure, but this does open up the possibility of being able to do your live front of house mix, which goes into your software, which gets the plugins, which comes back. Now, that being said, you're still processing this on a computer, and as fast as that M1 Mac Mini is, it's still going to offer a touch of latency, which is why Waves came out with what's called Waves Soundgrid. So Soundgrid and Multi-Rack runs on this super fast network, minimal like almost zero latency. When you go to a concert nowadays, the signal comes into the console. It might hit some of the onboard stuff. It goes out to Waves Soundgrid and Multi-Rack. It gets processed there with all of their plug-in chains that are used typically in their studio environments, comes back to the desk, and then goes out to the front of house. So that's really kind of what the big boys use. You can experience that in your smaller venue, and it's pretty cool. So to answer the question though, can you start out on your Mac M1? You can. Just be real cautious of that latency. Now, if you've tried it out in the past and you've got thoughts about it, put it down in the comments section. We can all benefit from that. If you've had good experiences or bad experiences, let us know about it. Or if you've got some other ideas on ways that we can do this at a more efficient route at a much smaller price point, let us know too. I do know that there's a thing that James Attaway from Attaway Audio, he has talked about how he uses a thing called Live Professor. So James Attaway typically is a Presonus guy in his studio at home, and all of his videos typically is Presonus, but I know his church runs an X32. And he does use Live Professor. So Live Professor is a software similar to your DAW, which you can add plugins. You can use those. The way he talks about it is he uses Live Professor just for vocal tuning in the live environment and sends that out to his front of house. He does talk about that there might be a little bit of latency, but that's it's pretty minimal. If I can find that video, I'll also link that down in the description below. Hopefully that's been helpful for you. Hopefully you've got some ideas of ways you can move forward. And thanks for the question. If you've got other questions, if you have other questions, leave them in the comments section. We might make a video out of it. But that's it for this one. Hit the like button and the subscribe button. Make sure to share this video. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.